Latto dropped the pregnancy announcement at midnight, attached it to a new single called Business and Personal, packaged it with an album announcement, and let the internet figure out the rest. The music video made it undeniable. The bump was real, the timing was deliberate, and the title of that single, Business and Personal, was doing more work than a two-word phrase should have to do.
The internet don't know a goddamn thing. Let's start there. I like being private. I think it ain't really nobody's business. Like, listen to the music and you'll know what you need to know.
Was it hard to write these songs about your personal love life?
When other people in the studio, yeah, because I get to feeling like a simp, and I'm so not a simp.
Because the situation surrounding this pregnancy is exactly that. Both business and personal. Deeply, messily, unavoidably both. And the man whose name the internet immediately attached to this announcement, 21 Savage, he has a wife, Keyanna Joseph, 2 sons, a 3rd child with another woman. A marriage that, as far as anyone can officially confirm, has not ended. And Keyanna, who has been watching all of this from whatever private space she occupies, responded to Latto's pregnancy post with a like on Instagram. 1 tap. No words. And somehow that single like became the most discussed detail of an already chaotic news cycle. This story has layers that the surface level dragging of Latto is completely missing. So let's actually get into all of them.
What happened to I spend that 500 before I ever trap you, Latto? No, I'm just kidding, y'all. Congratulations are in order to Big Latto. She confirmed finally that she is pregnant after months of us speculating. Congrats are actually in order to her and her baby's father, which looks like it's finally confirmed after years to be 21 Savage. Y'all slick, because after I seen the picture of her pregnant, the next picture was this of y'all comparing the hands to confirm that it is indeed 21 Savage that she's been with this whole time and who is her baby's father. So congrats to the both of them. Along with the pregnancy, she did announce 2 singles and that she is releasing an album with, I believe, then what was it, like 17 or 18 tracks at the end of May, which I'm super excited for because, you know, Latto is up there on my favorite female rappers. So shout out to her. I cannot wait to listen to that. So like, you know, does this mean we not going to get her on the Atlanta stop of Little Miss Drama Tour? Because in my mind, you know, Cardi has been bringing out a lot of the female rappers. So in my mind, I was like, oh, well, you know, she's going to be in Atlanta. You know, everyone knows Latto is associated with Atlanta because y'all like to argue about that too. So I guess we'll see. She also dropped a cute video. And speaking of drop, I wonder like when she gonna drop this baby. Like I wonder when she's due. And then I also wonder like, is this gonna be a tour accompanying this album? I just have so many questions.
Latto and 21 Savage's relationship has not been a secret for a while. She confirmed it to TMZ herself when she called him her husband in a conversation that was clearly not accidental. They have each other's names tattooed on them. This is not a situationship or a rumor kept alive by blurry paparazzi photos. This is a documented, long-running, publicly acknowledged entanglement between 2 people who have made their feelings for each other visible in permanent ink.
Oh, wait. So are you tired of people asking about you know who?
No.
21. So you're not tired of hearing about 21?
The complication is that 21 Savage is also legally married to Keyanna Joseph. The 2 of them have been together for years, have built a family together, and while there were whispers about a possible divorce filing circulating a couple of years back, nothing was ever officially confirmed, which means the public record shows a man with a wife, 2 sons, and a 3rd child with another woman, who has now allegedly fathered a child with Latto. The internet's response was swift and loud and split in ways that say something specific about how the culture processes these situations depending on whose name is attached to them. The dragging of Latto was immediate and not gentle. Comments about her getting pregnant by a man who will not even publicly acknowledge her.
Okay, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like being upset over somebody else's pregnancy is so fucking weird to me, especially if they're a celebrity. Like, I keep seeing all these comments about Latto, like, oh my God. I saw somebody say, oh, Latto's whole aesthetic was having no kids and now she's pregnant. And like, when I think of Latto, I did not think that no kids was her aesthetic. Like, yeah, Big Mama, no kids, but like that song literally just came out. Like, I do not think of Latto and think, oh yeah, like, bitch, young turnt bitch, no kid. Like, I never thought that was her brand. Like, if your whole entire brand, aesthetic, personality is just no kids, that's corny as fuck. I'm sorry. But Like, just seeing all the comments like, oh, I feel like I lost a homegirl, like, right before the summertime, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, where's the rings? Like, y'all are so fucking miserable. Like, all y'all do is project. Like, not everybody wants the same lifestyles that y'all live. Like, I just think that shit is so weird to me. It's so parasocial. It's so fucking weird. Like, these people are good. These people are rich, like, or wealthy, well off, whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know. That shit's just so fucking weird to me. It's so negative. It's so, like, I don't know. Like, before I had my kid, I didn't give a fuck about who announced their pregnancy. I wasn't like, oh my God, a fallen soldier. Like, that's weird, bro. That's very weird. Like, I don't think y'all understand how weird that actually is. But I'm not even, it's 8 a.m, so I don't even got time to expand. But that shit is weird.
Comments about her foolishness for believing in a situation that was never going to fully resolve in her favor. One football player with his own extremely complicated family history decided to weigh in publicly, calling out Latto for making a pregnancy by a married man with 3 children part of her album Rollout and describing it as a symbol of what women look up to today. The response to that man's commentary was almost universally the same. Who exactly do you think you are making this argument? A person with 7 children by 6 different women, with baby mothers on record describing him as absent and selective in which children he chooses to show up for, and who had just lost a civil case resulting in a $25 million jury verdict, does not have the standing to publicly assess anyone else's choices about family and pregnancy. The internet made that point with considerable force and zero mercy. But the underlying conversation his comment triggered was real, even if his authority to have it was not, because Latto has built a specific public identity. Big Mama, the self-sufficient, unbothered, bag-focused persona that the no-kids energy of her brand has been attached to for long enough that the announcement did create a specific kind of cognitive dissonance for people who had built an understanding of who she was around that image.
You know what I'm saying? The baby ain't too far away. My mama, she was 15 when she had me, so like she was in high school. Like they had a little program, like she dropping me off at the school, then going to class. Like she tell me like it's a lot, and I'm sure I'm being a little immature when I say I am ready, but I'm ready.
Motherhood will change your life.
Women who have kids, that's the boss. The boss is being a mom. Like that's the ultimate boss. Like it don't get more like feminine than bringing a life into this world.
What the fan commentary reveals is how deeply parasocial relationships with celebrities can distort the way audiences process basic human events. People describing themselves as having lost a homegirl. People asking where the rings are. People acting as though Latto's pregnancy is a personal betrayal of values she owed to strangers on the internet. The creators and commentators who pushed back on that energy were not wrong. This is deeply strange behavior. A woman they have never met is having a child, and their response is grief over the loss of an identity they projected onto her. But there is a legitimate dimension underneath the parasocial noise, and it has nothing to do with Latto's choices about her own body and her own life. It has to do with the specific situation she has chosen to build that life around. Because the question that nobody in Latto's camp has answered, and that 21 Savage certainly has not answered, and that Keyanna's single Instagram like has only deepened rather than resolved, is what exactly is the arrangement here? Does Keyanna know? That is almost certainly yes. The like on the pregnancy announcement suggests awareness rather than ignorance. Does Keyanna accept it? That is the question her silence refuses to answer. Is there some kind of understanding between Keyanna and 21 Savage about the relationship he maintains with Latto? Possibly. Is the marriage still legally intact and therefore every other relationship he maintains exists within the technical framework of infidelity? Also, apparently, yes, unless something has been dissolved that the public has not been informed of. The silence from all 3 parties is the loudest thing about this situation. 21 Savage has said nothing. Latto has said nothing beyond what the music and the announcement communicate. Keyanna has liked an Instagram post and offered nothing else. And into that silence, the internet has poured every theory, every assumption, every projection it can generate. The most charitable read of Keyanna's like is that it reflects an arrangement the 3 of them have that none of them are obligated to explain to the public. That marriages are complicated, and that the terms of some marriages look nothing like the terms that the word marriage conventionally implies. That Keyanna may have made peace with or even actively accepted the relationship 21 Savage maintains with Latto, and that her like on the pregnancy announcement is her version of acknowledging a new chapter of that arrangement rather than a passive-aggressive jab. The least charitable read is that Keyanna is performing indifference to protect her own dignity in a situation she did not fully agree to, that the like is a way of saying, I see this, and it does not break me even if it does, and that the silence underneath that like is the silence of a woman who has calculated that reacting publicly would cost her more than absorbing it privately. Both of those readings are plausible. neither can be confirmed without information that none of the people involved are volunteering. And that gap between what the public can see and what the people at the center of this actually know and have agreed to is where all the chaos lives. What Latto did by attaching this announcement to an album rollout is strategically interesting, regardless of how you feel about the personal situation it involves. Business and personal is not an accidental title. She is telling you directly that she understands the dual nature of what she is releasing. The personal dimension, the pregnancy, the relationship with 21 Savage, the complicated web of people and feelings and legal statuses that surround it is real, and it is hers. The business dimension, the album, the rollout, the specific moment chosen to confirm what the internet had already been speculating about for months, is also real, and it is calculated. Female rappers have always had to navigate the relationship between their personal lives and their professional narratives in ways that male rappers fundamentally do not. The choices they make about who they love and how they love and what they reveal about that love are treated as statements about their character and their credibility in ways that their male counterparts' equivalent choices simply are not. 21 Savage fathering children across multiple households is a note in a story. Latto being pregnant by a married man is apparently the story itself. That asymmetry is part of what makes the dragging of Latto feel specifically unfair, even to people who have genuine questions about the dynamics of the situation. She's absorbing public scrutiny for a situation that requires at minimum 2 other people to exist, one of whom is generating almost none of that scrutiny, and one of whom is generating so little that her only visible participation in this entire conversation is a single Instagram like. SCA showed up in the comments to support Latto. Chloe Bailey showed up. Angel Reese showed up. The women in the industry who chose to show up did so visibly, which sent its own message about where they stood on the question of whether Latto deserved the specific quality and quantity of criticism being directed her way. The album, Big Mama, dropping at the end of May, is now carrying the weight of everything this announcement stirred up, which may or may not have been exactly the intention. An album called Big Mama, announced alongside a pregnancy confirmation, with a lead single called Business and Personal, released by an artist who has just become the subject of one of the loudest internet conversations of the year. That is not an accident. That is a rollout. Whether the personal dimensions of it were planned around the album or the album was planned around the personal dimensions, the result is maximum visibility at a moment when Latto's name is on more people's timelines than it has been in years. The baby is coming. The album is coming. 21 Savage has not said a word. Keyanna liked a post. The football player who weighed in has his own significant legal and personal complications that made his commentary land exactly opposite to how he intended. And the internet is doing what the internet does, performing grief over a celebrity's pregnancy, speculating about marital arrangements that nobody involved has explained, and splitting down the middle between people who think Latto made a choice worth criticizing and people who think the criticism is being applied with a specificity and a gendered asymmetry that says more about the critics than about her. What is settled is that a child is coming. What remains completely unsettled is what the public configuration of the family around that child is going to look like. Whether 21 Savage addresses any of this publicly before or after the birth. Whether Keyanna's like was the beginning of a more visible acknowledgement of the situation, or simply a single gesture that will be followed by continued silence. Whether business and personal was Latto's way of announcing that she is no longer keeping the personal part separate from the business, and that the era of managing what the public knows about her life is over. She is Big Mama now. And if the album lives up to the announcement that introduced it, the conversation about the circumstances surrounding this pregnancy is going to be the least interesting thing about this chapter of her career. The fan commentary that erupted around the no kids question deserves its own examination, because there is something genuinely revealing about the way people responded to the perceived contradiction between Latto's previous public persona and this announcement. The song, Big Mama, the lyric about spending that money before getting trapped, the general energy of a young rapper who had built her brand around independence and self-sufficiency and the specific freedom of not being tethered to anyone, all of that was being pointed to as evidence of hypocrisy. What those arguments miss is something fundamental about how artists and their art relate to their actual lives. Songs are not contracts. Lyrics are not oaths sworn before witnesses. A rapper making a record about being unbothered and childless is not signing a binding agreement with her audience that she will never change her mind about what she wants. The expectation that Latto would permanently organize her life around an aesthetic that sold records when she was in a different place is the exact kind of parasocial overclaiming that the creators who pushed back on it were correctly identifying. People change. Circumstances change. A woman who once rapped about a specific kind of freedom can choose a different kind of life without that choice being a betrayal of anything real. The only people to whom she owed consistency were herself, and apparently, she has decided that this is what she wants. What is more interesting than the no kids conversation is the conversation that the people in her corner are having. The creators who came out swinging against the moralizing about her personal choices were making a point that extends beyond Latto specifically. They were pointing at the specific quality of the judgment being applied. The way people who have never met her, who consume her music and her social media presence and believe that constitutes knowing her, feel entitled to evaluate her life decisions against standards she never agreed to meet. That entitlement is particularly pronounced when the subject is a black woman's reproductive choices. The scrutiny of who she is having a child with, the commentary about whether the circumstances are appropriate, the public polling of strangers about whether her pregnancy is something to celebrate or mourn. All of it sits in a specific tradition of treating black women's bodies and choices as subjects for communal evaluation rather than personal sovereignty. None of that means the situation is without genuine complications. It has several. A married man, a wife who is silent except for one ambiguous like, children who already exist in a household that this new baby will now be adjacent to, questions about what acknowledgement looks like and when and from whom. Questions that none of the three adults at the center of this have chosen to answer publicly. But the complications in the situation are not the same thing as Latto having done something that the internet is owed an explanation for. She is having a child. She has chosen to announce it on her own terms, packaged with music, framed with a title that signals she understands the dual nature of what she is releasing. She has not asked for the dragging, and she has not invited the moralizing, and she has not given anyone the access required to make those judgments with any accuracy. The wife's like remains the question mark at the center of everything. It is too deliberate to be accidental. A person in Keyanna's position, who has been quiet throughout the years of Latto and 21 Savage's relationship becoming increasingly public, does not accidentally like a pregnancy announcement. That action was chosen. What it was chosen to communicate is the thing nobody can say with certainty. One school of thought says it is the most powerful possible response. That in a situation where everything Keyanna might say publicly could be weaponized or misread, a single like says everything and nothing simultaneously. It says, I see this. It says, I am not broken by it. It says, whatever you think you know about what is happening in my life, I am navigating it on my own terms. And this single interaction is all you are getting from me about it. That is a specific kind of power. The power of refusing to perform distress for an audience that is hungry for it. The other school of thought is simpler and sadder. That the like was a reflex, a moment of poor judgment, a tap on a phone screen that communicated something Keyanna did not fully intend to communicate publicly. That she is a private person navigating a situation that is not fully in her control, and that the like is being analyzed and overinterpreted by an audience that has decided it means something specific when the person who made it is the only one who actually knows what it meant. Both are possible. Neither is more true than the other without information that Keyanna has not provided. And that ambiguity, that interpretive gap that the internet keeps trying to fill with theories, is going to persist until someone in this situation decides to close it with actual words. 21 Savage saying nothing is the loudest silence in all of this, because he is the person at the center of the actual complications. The husband who has not addressed his marriage. The man who has been in a documented relationship with Latto for years without publicly reconciling that relationship with his legal status. The father of what will be 4 children across what appears to be 3 households. His silence is not just personal discretion. It is a wall. And as long as that wall holds, every other person in this situation is left to manage the chaos his choices have created without the benefit of the clarity his acknowledgement would provide. There is a pattern in hip-hop and in the broader entertainment industry of powerful men maintaining multiple significant romantic relationships simultaneously, while the women attached to those relationships absorb the public scrutiny for their participation in something the man created. 21 Savage is not a passive figure in this situation. He is the hub around which every spoke of this drama rotates. He is the one who is married and has been in a long-term relationship with another woman. He is the one with the tattoo of Latto's name on his body and the tattoo of his wife's name presumably still there too. He is the one whose choices have produced a situation where a baby is coming into a family structure that has never been publicly defined or acknowledged. And he has said nothing. He gets to say nothing. The architecture of how fame works for men in his position allows for that silence in ways that are simply not available to the women around him. Latto cannot be silent about this. She is visibly pregnant. Keyanna has apparently chosen a form of strategic silence that is being decoded and analyzed with the intensity of a Rosetta Stone discovery. But 21 Savage gets to simply continue existing in public without his name carrying the weight of the situation in any meaningful way. That asymmetry is not accidental, and it is not new. It is the specific arrangement that male celebrity has always enjoyed when the consequence of its choices lands more visibly on the women attached to it. What Latto has done by making this announcement on her own terms, the midnight drop, the music, the album rollout, the business and personal framing, is refused to let the announcement happen to her. She chose the moment. She chose the vehicle. She chose the packaging. In a situation where she has limited control over the larger circumstances, she maximized the control she did have and used it to enter this chapter of her life on the strongest possible footing. Whether that is the right choice, whether the business dimension of how she announced a pregnancy belongs in the same packaging as the personal dimension, is a question people will keep debating. But the fact that she made active choices rather than being overtaken by events is the piece of her agency in this that deserves acknowledgement alongside all of the scrutiny about the circumstances. Big Mama is coming, the baby is coming, and 21 Savage is still out here saying absolutely nothing, which in its own way is the clearest possible statement about who has the luxury of silence in this situation and who does not. So here is where this sits. Latto confirmed the pregnancy through a midnight music video drop and an album announcement. The internet immediately identified 21 Savage as the father, through the kind of detective work the internet does when it is motivated. 21 Savage is legally married. His wife liked the post. Nobody has explained anything. And the dragging of Latto has been loud enough to generate its own counter-movement of people calling out the asymmetry of how male and female artists get treated when their personal lives become public. Do you think Keyanna's like was shade, acceptance, or something else entirely that we do not have enough information to categorize? And does the way this announcement was packaged, as part of an album rollout with a song called Business and Personal, change how you read Latto's intentions? Drop everything you are thinking in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe, because the album drops in May, the baby is coming, and 21 Savage has not said a single word yet. This story has several chapters left.